How do we solve quadratic inequalities? Well, here are the prior skills that you will need. You'll need to know how to factorise a quadratic expression, and also sketching the graph of a quadratic expression, and finally how to illustrate inequalities on a number line. Step 1. Rearrange so the quadratic inequality is in the form of one of the following. The quadratic expression is either greater than 0, less than 0, greater than or equal to 0, or less than or equal to 0. Then factorise the quadratic, and then sketch the graph of the quadratic. This is known as a parabola. Then consider the following. We have 4 different scenarios. Consider the following. If the quadratic expression is greater than 0, then ask, for what range or ranges of x is the graph strictly above the horizontal axis? If the quadratic expression is less than 0, then we ask, for what range or ranges of x is the graph strictly below the horizontal axis? If the quadratic expression is of the form greater than or equal to 0, then we ask, for what range or ranges of x is the graph on or above the horizontal axis? And finally, if it is of the form less than or equal to, then we ask, for what range or ranges of x is the graph on or below the horizontal axis? Then we write down the solutions to whichever one of these questions we had to answer on a suitable number line. Remember, the solution may be a single range or 2 separate ranges. In question 1 we have a quadratic inequality, and we need to solve this. X squared minus 4x is greater than 12. So we start by taking all the terms to the left hand side. Therefore x squared minus 4x minus 12 is greater than 0, and actually this factorises as x minus 6 into x plus 2 is greater than 0. Now at this stage we can sketch the graph of y equals x minus 6 times x plus 2. It is the blue parabola drawn, and it intersects the horizontal axis at 6 and negative 2. And we ask ourselves, for what values of x is the graph strictly above the horizontal axis? Well, this occurs when x is less than negative 2 or x is greater than 6. In question 2, again we have a quadratic inequality. X squared is less than 16. Now it can be tempting to take the square root of each side and simply write x is less than 4. But this is the wrong thing to do, especially because the square root of 16 has a positive and negative square root. Therefore we proceed as follows. X squared minus 16 is less than 0, and of course this factorises as the difference of 2 squares. X plus 4 times x minus 4 is less than 0. And now we draw the parabola of y equals x plus 4 times x minus 4, which is the blue parabola, and you note that it has a line of symmetry as the vertical axis. We need to ask ourselves, for what values of x is the graph strictly below the horizontal axis? The reason it's below this time and not above is because the inequality was of the form less than 0. And we can see that this occurs when x is greater than negative 4 but less than 4.